we've done so much good work in relation to literacy and numeracy, but we're now using validated programs such as Coping Power, a SCARE program, the Pyramid Club, speech and language therapy such as Lego therapy, in order to try and provide our students with coping mechanisms to ensure that they can continue to thrive in their classroom environments, because some are really struggling. So Pyramid Club, for example, is giving our kids social skills and the ability to put their hand up and contribute to class discussion when previously they struggled to do that. Attaching TAs to departments, that's something we've already done and enacted. Is it working? Not sure at the minute, and we've got more work to do to make sure that they land effectively and are utilised effectively by the teams that they're joining. What we wanted to do was ensure our TAs are more focused on outcomes for children, not just on making sure that children complete certain tasks like underlining the date. The more effective communication strategies, really that's focusing on the utilisation of pupil passports and updating and the strategies within that, using ramps and using staff briefing as a means by which we communicate strategies from teachers that tend to work with SEND students. And here's an example of one. This was used in staff briefing only in the last week or so. This is a girl called Megan. Now, we had a picture there. There was a little bit of a background on Megan's Key Stage 2 information. She was a middle priority child. She had a greater strength in maths than she did in English. This was something that Megan said that she sees herself more negatively than would be expected. She never feels smart. She has such low self-esteem. And this is the example of the types of things our teachers have said tend to work with Megan, this specific child. Because what our teachers were telling us was that the strategies that they're currently being given to try and support the likes of Megan were a bit generic. That the terminology was for Senkos and not necessarily applicable in classrooms. And so what actually we've done is we've involved our teachers in the development of specific strategies that work in classrooms in our context with our children. And the feedback, initial feedback that we're getting is that this is positive and it is making a difference. What's our success criteria for our change project? Well, we see improved attainment and progress of children with SEND, using outcomes from internal exams, teacher predictions as the main source of information. We see improved effort and engagement scores. We see a reduction in behaviour points related to classroom learning, a reduction in fixed term exclusions, that we use stakeholder voice and it's increasingly positive about progress and attainment. Learning walks, book looks relating to students with SEND increasingly show progress is being made, and that standardised test scores in relation to the interventions are actually able to prove that the interventions that we're enacting are making a difference with our children. And at that point, you now have the opportunity for any questions, suggestions or feedback in relation to the proposal I've put together today.
Are you okay flicking back a slide while we...
Yeah.
In terms of looking at the outcomes that you're, is this a year's project or what are you looking at it?
Yeah, we have short-term goals,
right,
because we recognise we're not going to sort this situation. We're not going to improve provision for SEND pupils overnight. There are short-term goals that we would like to achieve this academic year, but there are medium and long-term goals that ultimately are going to make a bigger difference, we hope. So I can anticipate that the gap between SEND and non-SEND students is highly likely to still be there. But what I anticipate is that we've worked towards closing that gap.
Because you've talked about reducing behaviour points, fixed term exclusions and improving attainment. And that could be quite small in the first year. Have you got kind of any numbers on the doors for that, or are you just looking at actually just reducing it?
Yeah, it's very difficult. I haven't come up with specific percentages or numbers. what I would say at this point is that it would be moving in the right direction. Now, the degree of success would be how much we're moving in the right direction in terms of behaviour points, fixed term exclusions, etc. What I have done is baselined. We have a starting point, so we know where we are, and what we do anticipate is that we see evidence that we're moving in the right direction. I haven't put a precise number on that, but so that's something for me to reflect upon.
If there's some areas which you're actually looking at and you still find that it's still not improvement, what will your plan be?
So really important in terms of this change programme is that I regularly assess where we're up to. I don't know in terms of how successful we're being yet, because I haven't gone back in and started measuring again, for example, our progress data, our exclusions data, our behaviour data, etc. Plan B would be to reassess ultimately what we're doing here. I believe strongly that this is the right thing to do. The issue is how successfully this is implemented. So, for example, is the fact that we're deploying TAs to carry out interventions and attach them to departments, that's the right thing to do. But have they been trained? Have our subject areas been supported in ensuring that they're getting the best out of TAs? So in answer to your question, it's the solution to us making changes to improve what we want to do is depending on why we're falling down in the first place. I strongly suspect there will be issues around deployment of TAs to departments. I strongly suspect that.
That could be a weak link.
Possibly, because it's something we've not done before,
No.
and it's something unusual for our heads of department to potentially work alongside TAs. TAs being integrated into the learning journey in that classroom. Mrs. Lane, did you have a question?
It was on these actually. I want to ask the question. Sort of invest in training.
Yep.
How different will that investment be in the training of TAs than it has been before?
My intention is to increase the quality and the quantity of training to reflect the needs of our children. I can't quite comment about what has happened before because I'm not necessarily sure what training's been given to our TAs. But what I want it to be is more bespoke to reflect the needs of our children, and a lot of work will go on focusing on SEMH, children with the social, emotional, mental health
And
needs.
secondly, there's more bespoke interventions led by the TAs who you've invested in the training of.
Correct.
Does that actually mean that there's going to be more TAs employed in order to make sure that support in the classroom is still there?
Yeah, it's a good question, and we're restricted by the resource that the school has. I don't foresee in the short term there's going to be an increase in TAs, just a redeployment of the resource that we currently have.
How much has it increased by this year, the TAs, compared to last year?
I can't answer that one because I don't know precisely, but I'd have to check that and get that back to you.
Now, my only concern is that if you're sort of, and I can see the way forward with this, but if we're sort of investing for training and bespoke interventions and it's being led by TAs who are no longer in the classroom, then we've got to be very, very mindful that actually what used to happen in the classrooms or the support in the classroom and other interventions led by TAs, literacy and numeracy, that we've still got the manpower to deliver those.
The vast majority of the time of our TAs will be spent in classrooms. The vast majority. The additional bespoke interventions are undertaken for specific students who need them by specific TAs. The bulk of their time is in classrooms supporting teachers to support our SEND students.
And as EP, I'm hearing Lena as well in terms of protecting other types of outreach that support these pupils in other ways, such as literacy and numeracy that we need to look at. Can I follow up with two? You've touched on these. I just want to draw them out of your presentation. You've referenced the numbers of pupils in SEND. Has there been any, as we've had an SLE cast a stronger light on it, has there only been any changes to categorisation that give us a different demographic, or were we pretty correct in our classification of SEND previously? And then secondly, flowing on from that, have you considered how your success criteria might differ if you're still alive by the end of this? Follow-up question. How your success criteria might differ between the different categorisations of SEND, i.e. fixed term exclusions, you would expect to be higher amongst maybe some of the SEMH side, but if you're seeing them higher on pupils with other types of special needs, then that's not to be expected. So it's just that kind of subgroup classification. Did we have it right at the start of this project? And if so,
Yeah, there's
and beyond it?
a couple of things. We have refined the SEND register, and really previously the classification of children who was SEND and who wasn't tended to be quite a static thing.
Yeah.
And actually it shouldn't be. It should be an evolving thing, reflecting the nature of support and the work that we do with individuals. Yeah. Because why spend so much time intervening and supporting students if their needs are never going to be fully met? Now some students aren't, but so really in answer to your first question is that we have got it better in the fact that students who are being classed as SEND are in particular categories. We're clear about the nature of support that they need, and the SEND register will be an evolving thing rather than a static thing as we move forward.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Partly, yeah, and I just wanted to flag up, it's not so much a question as something to bear in mind for your project. The measuring of apples and apples and apples and pears, in that if you're finding a reclassification, you're increasing your SEMH cohort through better classification, but you're not damning yourself in your own judgment of success criteria by actually growing that
Yeah, I stood here today and talked about SEND students, but there are different subcategories of SEND students. Yeah, and that's what we'd be doing as we break down in terms of the impact on of our work.
That answers my question.
Thank you, Patrick. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Just one more.
Oh,
Are we still getting quite a proportionate number of SEND children wanting to come here?
Yep.
As their first
Disproportionate,
choice?
Yep.
Disproportionate,
We get we're getting an increasing number of students with an EHCP who are naming St Patrick's as their preferred provider, and that comes from parental preference, and the vast majority of the time that student therefore gets a place at St Patrick's.
Is that within the catchment?
It doesn't matter whether they're in the catchment
It's
or not.
trumping the traditional measures.
And that puts an additional strain on current resource. It does bring with it additional resource. It's often not enough and it's lagged, and that's very difficult for our current team to meet need all the time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So one final thought as we transition for governance is
Yeah.